In this video, I'm going to talk about the Azure AZ900 practice test 3. Prior to this, I have created a couple of videos on Azure AZ900 practice test. In case if you missed, you can take a look into those videos. Let's start the session. The first question is about the true-false statement. A company can extend an internal network by adding its own physical server to the public cloud. So the answer is no, because you cannot add your own computers into the cloud. So that's the cloud service provider's responsibility in a shared access model. You can extend by adding the you can extend your network to the public cloud, but you cannot add your own servers into the cloud. So adding and decommissioning physical servers is the cloud service provider's responsibility. So the cloud service provider here, this is a pretty generic answer. So Azure or AWS or GCP, any cloud service provider model cannot, or the organization cannot add their own physical servers into the Azure cloud. The second question is again the true-false statement. A private cloud must be disconnected from the internet. It's not necessarily you need to disconnect from the internet. You can connect to the internet. It all depends on the requirement of the company. So the answer is again no. The description here is the description. So in case if you have a requirement for restricting for the public internet, you can implement network access control list by blocking the IP addresses, or you can use the NSG rules on the virtual machine. So that will actually restrict the traffic from the internet. Next question is, part of the hybrid cloud is public. That is absolutely true. So in the hybrid cloud model, you can have the public cloud and the private cloud. That's why we call it the hybrid cloud. So the statement is, the answer is yes. This is a fill in the blank question. All the Azure services are in the public preview. All the Azure services that are in the public preview are provided without any documentation. That's not true. Microsoft Azure provides the documentation on every single service they are providing. Only configurable from Azure CLI. That's not true. You can also configure from the Azure portal. The last one, only configurable from Azure portal. This is also incorrect. You can also use the Azure CLI. So the answer is this one, excluded from the service level agreement, because this is in the public preview. So when they are starting the public preview, they will be excluded from the SLAs. Next question is for the following statement, again the true-false statement, yes or no questions. When using the Azure Express Route connection, inbound data traffic from an on-premise network to Azure is always free. That is true. So we need to always remember that inbound network traffic is free, but outbound will be charged. So the answer is yes. So user is not charged for the inbound data transfer in the Azure. Outbound data transfer from the Azure to on-premise. So this is the reverse question. So this is not free. This is always charged. So answer is no. Next question, data traffic between Azure services within the same Azure region is always free. That is true. Within the same Azure region, the network traffic, data traffic will not be charged. Azure does not charge for the user data transfer if it is within the same Azure region. The next question is, your company has an Azure subscription that contains the resources in several regions. A company policy states that the administrators must only be allowed to create additional Azure resources in region which is in the country where their offices are located. So here it is we are talking about the Azure policy configuration, where you can restrict the developer or the resources to not spinning up the additional resources. So you need to create Azure resource that must be used to meet the policy requirements. So the answer is the Azure policy. You need to understand what is a management group, read-only logs, reservations. Management group in the hierarchy, this will be the topmost computing Azure computing thing. Then this resource management group can contain multiple subscriptions. Each subscription can contain the resource group. So this is not related to the policy. And the read-only logs basically prevent users not editing once the services are ready for the production. Reservations, so you can reserve your VMs so that you can save the price. Azure pay-as-you-go pricing is an example of CapEx. So this question is related to CapEx and OpEx. If you understand the difference between the CapEx and OpEx, you'll be able to answer. Pay-as-you-go. So pay-as-you-go is actually OpEx. You are not spending money upfront. CapEx is a capital expenditure where you have to spend money upfront for your data center or your air conditioning, cooling, or your infrastructure, all those things. So that's the CapEx. The pay-as-you-go is not the CapEx. So that answer is no. See the difference between the OpEx and CapEx. So OpEx is where you actually spend money not spend money upfront. You will be paying after you use the service. Paying for electricity for your data center is an example of operational expenditure. That is true because you are not spending upfront. So again, the same difference between the CapEx and OpEx. Deploying your own data center is an example of CapEx. That's true. So you have to set up the complete setup on your data center, including your servers, printers, scanners, air condition, generators, etc. So that is actually upfront. You are spending money, and you are actually gaining recurrent every month. So this is opposite to the operational expenditure where you actually paying after you use the service. Question 12, Azure Security Center can monitor Azure resources and on-premise resources. So you need to understand Azure Security Center to answer this question. The answer is yes, you can use the Azure Security Center to monitor Azure services, also the on-premises services. So you have to opt in for the standard, where the paid version of the security center to configure the on-premise resources also. So let's not confuse with on-premise resources. Yes, it is possible to monitor resources at the on-premise also for the in the Azure Security Center. So this basically security threat blocking for your application, all that will be taken care in the Azure Security Center. The next question, yes or no kind of question. All security center features are free. That's absolutely not true. All the security centers are not free. You have the paid service also. So to enable all the security center, including the threat protection capabilities, you must apply the standard pricing tier. So you have free tier and standard tier. Free tier is absolutely free, where you can, it provides the features as security policy, continuous security assessments, and actionable security recommendations to help to protect your Azure resources. Where in standard tier, this actually adds the extended capabilities as compared to the free tier. You can actually identify the attacks, and you can also prevent the attacks. So when you start with the standard tier, 30 days is free, and after that it will be charged. From the Azure Security Center, you can download a regulatory compliance report. That's true. There is a button on the Security Center. You can download the regulatory reports. A platform as a service solution provides a full control of the operating system that host the applications. So PaaS will not give a full control of the operating system. Infrastructure as a service model has the full control of the operating system. So you need to understand this table between PaaS, IaaS, and SaaS, and also on-premise. So if you look at the list of items like your own application, your own data, runtime like .NET Core or any technology used, the middleware part, the operating system, virtualization. So these are the underlying backend operating system related information like server, storage, and networking. Everything you manage at your end on the on-premise, but infrastructure as a service. So you will be given the infrastructure, including virtualization, server, storage, and the network. So you will not be, taking care of this. This is a cloud service provider's responsibility, but you can install your own operating system. You can install the middleware. So you will get a control on these items: operating system, middleware, runware, and runtime, and application and data is your own part anyway. Platform as a service, your applications and your data, you will have a control. The rest of the details are part of the platform cloud service provider. So cloud service provider will take care of installing, upgrading all the runtime. Let's say you're using the .NET Core 2.0 and the latest version has been released to 5.0. So it's the cloud service provider responsibility to upgrade those runtimes, upgrade the patches, installations, everything related to the operating system and the storage. Where in software as a service, you have given the complete package and everything is controlled by the cloud service providers. So that's the difference between these service models. Next question: two Azure virtual machines that use the B2S size have the same monthly cost. So this is not true. These kind of questions will get confused because it all depends on which region you will be hosting and which operating system. So it is not going to be the same price. So the answer is no. Next question: after you create a virtual machine, you need to modify the dash to allow the connection to TCP port. So let's say you spin up a VM and you want to get a control on the VM. So what you do is you configure the network security group by adding your port number, and depends on the priority, it will execute those rules and then apply the the restrictions on the VM. Virtual network gateway, that's not correct here. Virtual network is also different and the route table is also different. So virtual network is actually the VPN device in the Azure virtual network, which is used for the VPN connection between the Azure network and your local network. So it's kind of a VNet to VNet connection between two Azure networks. The Azure virtual network is actually you are creating your own network in the Azure, just like your on-premise. And the route table contains set of rules. Those set of rules actually defines what packet, how the packets will be routed within the network, virtual network. So the route tables are associated to your subnets, and that's how the packets are associated. Route tables are associated with the subnet level, not at the resource level. Next question. This is again true, yes or no. The cost of the Azure service in the private preview decreases when the service becomes generally available. That's not true. Private preview is actually Microsoft want to get the feedback from the end users and the customers so that they can improve the services. So that's why they release the preview private release, and they actually allow few customers to use this private preview, and that will not be decreased when the service become generally available. A single Microsoft account can be used to manage multiple subscriptions. Yes, that's how the hierarchy in the tenant or the account can have the management group, and then management group can have the more than one subscriptions, and each one subscription can have the multiple resource groups. So if you understand that hierarchy, the answer is yes. So this is how it will look like. You can create multiple subscriptions within the same account or the tenant. Two Azure subscriptions can be merged into single subscription by creating the support request. You cannot merge two Azure subscriptions into single subscription. That's not possible, or by not even by creating the Microsoft Azure support request. So the answer is no. So the only place where you will actually create the support request is when the number of instances in the single subscription get extended. So let's say you are allowed to create only 50 VMs in the given subscription. So if you want to create more than 50, you will be creating the support request so that they will extend the capacity and you can increase the number of VMs in that particular subscription. So question number 21, talking about you plan to provision infrastructure as a service in the Azure. Which resource is an example of IaaS? Virtual machine is the example of the IaaS. Azure Web Apps, the PaaS, Logic App, part of the serverless PaaS. SQL Server is also part of the PaaS. So when these kind of questions come, as I explained in the previous video, so I will only focus on reading this part, not everything else, not to spend too much time in reading the descriptions. If Microsoft plans to end the support for the Azure services that does not have the successor services, Microsoft will provide the notification at least 12 months before. That's true. They will always have to provide 12 months, not 6 months, 90 days, and 30 days. So no change is needed is the correct answer. So you need to remember here, sometimes the question will be asked like modern life cycle policy is allowed for 12 months. So that is true. Question 23, your company plans to deploy several custom applications to Azure. The applications will provide invoicing services to the customers. So they are talking about the application, what the application do. Each application will have several prerequisite applications and services installed. So they're talking about each application. So this is what you need to remember. Each application will have several prerequisite applications and services already installed. So let's not confuse with the PaaS and the infrastructure as a service here. So infrastructure as a service, you can install the prerequisite applications and the services, but not in the PaaS. So in the previous table, we discussed about the difference between the SaaS, PaaS, and the IaaS. So the answer is IaaS here. Each application will have several prerequisite applications and services. So that is what you need to remember, not to get confused with the PaaS. Which service provider serverless computing in which service provides the serverless computing? As soon as the serverless computing comes, Function App and the Logic App. So these are the two things should be coming in your mind. So the answer is Function App. Virtual machines, that's not the serverless, it's the IaaS. Storage account, container instances, these are not the serverless. IoT Hub, totally different topic for the sensor-based connecting the devices. And the machine learning, again, getting the using the history and predicting the future. So that's the machine learning. So you can also look at the more details on the Function App. What is the Function App and some of the capabilities of the Function App, how the serverless computing works, and some of the definitions of other topics like storage account. You will have the blob storage, you will have the tables, queues, and files. You can have the container instances, Azure container instances, IoT Hub, again, so millions of IoT devices are connected in the IoT Hub. Machine learning, it is also completely different topic used for building the machine learning models based on the artificial intelligence, and it basically use the historical data to predict the output. Question 25, you have an Azure web app. You need to manage the settings of the web app from the iPhone. So just to emphasizing iPhone, so you need to manage this in the iPhone. You need to remember what operating system iPhone will be using, that is iOS. So there are two Azure requirement management tools that you need to use. Can you use the Windows PowerShell in the iPhone? Answer is no. iPhone is in the iOS device. Azure Portal, it's a web browser-based tool, so you can use that browser Safari in iPhone, so that's correct. Azure Cloud Shell, you can use the Azure Cloud Shell also from the browser, so you can browse from the iPhone. Those two are correct. Azure Storage Explorer, so this is for the desktop-based tool, you cannot use in the iPhone. So you have more description here on each option. Next question is, you have an application that is comprised of the Azure web app, and the Azure web app has the SLA 99.95. Remember that number 99.95 for the web app and 99.99 is for the SQL Server. So these are the two PaaS models. The composite SLA for the application is the product of both SLA. So here it's talking about the composite SLA. Is it equal to 99.94, which is averaging? That is not true. No change is needed. It's not an option because the 99.94 is not the correct answer. So there is a formula given in the website to calculate the composite SLA, because the composite SLA is always the SLA in the Microsoft Azure is always independent. So it's not the lower SLA associated or the higher SLA associated. The difference between the two SLAs, which is 0.05%. That's also confusing. Sorry, I think the answer is no change is required, because in the Azure for composite SLA, we need to take the product of individual SLAs of the components. So there is a formula given in the website. If we go through that and understand that formula, I think according to me, the 99.94% is also incorrect. So this question is a little bit confusing. I will leave it to the users. Next question, you need to ensure that when Azure Active Directory users connect to Azure Active Directory from the internet by using the anonymous IP addresses, the users are prompted automatically to change their passwords. So which service we should be using? So the service which we will be using here is the Azure Active Directory protection. Azure Active Directory Connect Health, which is related to monitoring the health. Azure Active Directory Privileged Identity Management, that's not the right answer. Advanced Threat Protection is again for preventing the attacks. So let's see the definitions for each of the items here. Azure Active Directory Identity Protection is the correct answer here, because the prerequisite here is you already configured the MFA prior to this, and then when the user sign in from the internet from the anonymous IP addresses, the user will be prompted for the changing the password. So this is the self-remediation. So this is also called self-remediation. Should be allowed as per the company's or the organization's policy. So the second option, Azure Active Directory Connect Health, which is not related, which is actually related to monitoring the health. Azure Active Privileged Identity Management is also incorrect here, because this is used for providing JIT, just-in-time access, and preventing the malicious activities. The last one is actually for threat protection. Name implies that it detects the threats from on-premise resources and suspicious user activities within the organization. Question number 28, your network contains Active Directory Forest. The forest contains 5,000 user accounts. Your company plans to migrate all the network resources to the Azure and to decommission the on-premise data center. So completely decommissioning all 5,000 users moving into the Azure. You need to recommend a solution, minimize the impact on the users that are planned migration. So, which is the implement Azure multi-factor authentication, then sync all the Azure Active Directory. So just implementing the multi-factor authentication will not move the users automatically. The sync all the users is correct. Sync from the on-premise, because you are completely decommissioning the on-premise version. So you have to sync with the Azure Active Directory here. Instruct all users to change their password. So that's like talking about 5,000 users. So that's the bad practice, and we should not be doing that. Create a guest user. So you can't create thousands of users, guest users. So that's again time consuming and not recommended solution. So the answer is second. And also look at all the descriptions why other options are incorrect and the second option is correct. Question number 29. What should you use to evaluate whether your company's Azure environment meets regulatory requirements? So make sure that all the resources you have created in the Azure meets the Azure requirements. So the Knowledge Center website, this basically you can search the services and get the information. That's not the right answer. The Advisor Blade will give the Azure environment regulatory information. Let's see the other options. Security Center Blade from the Azure portal actually will help to evaluate the Azure environment regulatory compliance. So Security Center, the last one is the correct answer here. Azure Advisory Blade, you will get the help from this to identify the performance and high availability and security of the Azure resources. But for the evaluating whether the company's regulatory requirements meet or not, the Security Center Blade will be the right answer. Question number 30. From Azure Monitor, you can view which user turned off a specific virtual machine during the last 14 days. Azure Monitor is not the right tool, so no change is needed is not the right one. Event Hub, this is like the logs where you can use the Event Hub as a storage. Azure Activity Log, every resource will have the activity log where you can check the history of the activities of that service. If any developer making any changes, you will be able to make look at the activity logs. Azure Service Health related to the health related service, which is not help us to look at the logs. Question number 31. You need to configure Azure solution that meets the following requirements. Secure the website from the attacks. Generate reports that contains the details of attempted attacks. So there are two things, there are two requirements here. One is secure the website from the attack and generate the report. So which one is the right answer? Azure Firewall, that's the traffic related. NSG, again, restricting the traffic. Azure Information Protection, that is again labeling your documents and emails. So DDoS protection is something you can use. So this is the paid version, will help to secure the website from the attacks, and also you can generate the detailed report. Question number 32, you plan to implement several security services for an Azure environment. You need to identify which Azure service must be used to meet the following security requirements. So monitor threats by using the sensor. So that's the word you need to remember. Using the sensor, which Azure service should you identify the above requirement. So the advanced threat protection basically use the sensors. Advanced threat protection is the correct here. Built-in sensors through which you can monitor the user activities across the Azure network. It is also used to detect suspicious user activities, malicious attacks within the organization itself. Azure Monitor will help to see, I think we saw the description in the previous question, so you can identify the performance and the security vulnerabilities. Security Center is where you can look at the regulatory report. Azure Active Directory identity protection is for the identity purpose, not related to the question. Next one, enforce user multi-factor authentication based on the condition. So that's again the Azure Active Directory identity protection. The key vault is used to store secrets for the Azure Active Directory user accounts. That's correct. So you can use the key vault for storing keys, secrets, and certificates, etc. So that is no change is needed is the correct one. So you can look at the description about the Azure Key Vault for managing the secrets, keys, and the certificates. Your company has an Azure subscription that contains the following unused resources: 20 user accounts, unused accounts, user accounts in the AD, 5 user groups. So we need to understand which resources here cost the money in the Azure. So user accounts are the groups will not cost any money. 10 public IPs, yes, you need to focus on that. So that is correct. 10 network interfaces. Having the network interfaces will not cost anything in the Azure. You need to reduce the Azure cost, removing the unused public IP addresses. That's correct. So the public IP addresses are actually chargeable. So that's why the answer is yes. Your company has Azure subscription that contains the following unused resources. Again, the same options. You need to remove unused user accounts. So removing the user accounts will not save anything. That's not correct. So answer is no. How should you calculate the monthly uptime percentage? So you need to remember the formula for calculating the uptime percentage. So this will be given in the Microsoft website. Maximum available minutes minus downtime in minutes divided by the maximum available minutes into 100 to get the percentage of the monthly uptime percentage. The option is 3. Answer is 3. You have an Azure Active Directory tenant. All administrators must enter a verification code to access the Azure portal. You need to ensure that administrators can access the Azure portal only from your on-premise. So what should you use? Azure Active Directory user risk policy, multi-factor authentication. MFA is for two-factor authentication. The default for all the roles in the Azure Active Directory Identity Manager, that's not correct. AD prevent. So the sign-in risk policy, if you know the definition of the sign-in risk policy, that's the correct answer here. All the administrators must enter the verification code when you configure the sign-in policy. So look at the definition of the sign-in risk policy from the Microsoft portal. Question number 39, to which cloud model can you deploy physical servers? So physical servers you can deploy from the hybrid cloud, also the private cloud, not in the public cloud. So the first one is not correct because the hybrid cloud is missing here. Private cloud, hybrid cloud, and the public cloud. So public cloud is not included, is not the correct one. Private cloud and hybrid cloud is the correct one. For the statement given below, this is yes or no question. The platform as a service, PaaS service solution provides additional memory to application by changing the pricing tier. Yeah, you can increase the pricing tier to get the additional memory. That's true. PaaS solution can automatically scale the number of instances. Let's not get confused with the auto scaling. Yes, the answer is yes. Here it automatically scales the number of instances. So this is a inbuilt feature for the PaaS models. It automatically increase and decrease depending on the. So you can set up the auto scale feature when you prerequisites when you are actually set up the auto scale feature. So 42, I think this is the last question for again yes or no. Microsoft Service Trust Portal can be accessed by using a Microsoft Cloud Service account. Yes. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you are interested, you can also watch other 3 more videos I made on the Azure Fundamentals AZ900 exam practice test. So your feedback will be helpful to improve the video quality. Thank you very much.